The 1920s was an era of great progress and of rich culture, but the underlying issues of the previous eras re-emerged. Because of this, many people consider the time to be America's second Gilded Age.
Life in the 1920s was centered around fun and rebellion from social restrictions. Americans turned away from traditionalism as a slow, conservative rural life was no longer the norm. For example, a teacher in Tennessee, John Scopes, was fined $100 for teaching his students the theory of evolution, rather than just the concept of divine creation as it had always been taught.
The fight for women's suffrage picked up steam again after World War II, headed by prominent suffragettes such as Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Women's work in the war effort made an impactful argument, and on August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified. This gave women the right to vote like their male counterpart. In 1923, the National Women's Party proposed an amendment to the Constitution that prohibited all discrimination on the basis of sex, called the Equal Rights Amendment, but that's never been ratified.
Americans started to buy items on credit, which stimulated the economy because people were buying way more things than they would have without credit. This was one of the main characteristics of the 1920s economy. The economy was booming during the war because we were supplying weapons and other items to Germany and Britain. We had so much money that we spent some of it on technology. This helped us create things faster and make money quicker. In other words, it was mass production. For example, car companies were one of the main industries which drove the economy. They employed many people and needed other materials such as rubber and glass. Therefore, they helped the other businesses make an even larger profit.
Once upon a time in the 1920s, there's a place in New York with a lot of pennies. It's called Wall Street, and it's the best around, but with the new use of credit, it can crash into the ground.
After the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, the United States began to fear communism. Even the wearing of red would create chaos.
In the 1920s, the 18th Amendment prohibited the manufacture, sale, or transportation of alcoholic beverages, but with the help of speakeasies, almost anyone could find a place to carelessly drink. Because of prohibition, the manufacturing of alcohol was illegal. This meant that anyone who was able to make alcohol could make a huge profit. Gangsters started illegally making, selling, and distributing alcohol. The desire to control alcohol production and trade caused gangster groups to start violent fights.
Between the 1880s and the 1920s, over 25 million foreign immigrants traveled to the United States. After World War I, nativist views re-emerged as factory jobs declined once more, with the majority of immigrants filling American job opportunities. Strikes, racists, and nativist groups such as the KKK re-emerged.
The KKK was a group made up of mainly white and Protestant men. Their mission was to prevent African Americans, immigrants, Catholics, Jews, liberals, and progressives from attaining wealth, social status, and political power through violence and fear. They wanted to protect the traditional culture, which was being threatened by social change. Unfortunately, not all industries were doing as well as they'd hoped for. Those types of companies were known as sick industries. They were struggling because they had too much of their product and the economy didn't have a high demand for it. People like farmers ended up losing their land and becoming tenants or farmhands. So as you can see, not everyone benefited from this new way of life.
President Harding ushered in the idea of isolationism, advocating a return to normalcy. Many scandals surrounded Harding's presidency, including ignorance of prohibition in the White House. These scandals, along with Harding's general lack of effort to improve the country's state, made Harding's time in office one of the worst in U.S. history. The 1920s was an era of progression and economic prosperity. However, the re-emergence of racism, nativism, and poor working conditions in factories, as well as many other issues, caused the 1920s to be known as America's second Gilded Age.
Can I open it?
Yeah.
You almost went to the chair. Oh, I'm gonna fight! I almost said a curse word. Oh, curse! No.
People.
Am I supposed to look up?
Yeah, you're supposed to